I'm sure at this point you've heard of the viral Dubai chocolate bar, but I bet you've never heard of viral Dubai chocolate bar challah rolls. Yes, golden, gorgeous, pillowy rolls of bread filled with the filling you'd get in the viral Dubai chocolate bar. Sally that girl in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally That Girl in the Kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make viral Dubai chocolate challah rolls. Yes, that amazing viral Dubai chocolate that is all over the internet, but in a challah roll. But we're not going to be buying a Dubai chocolate bar and stuffing these beautiful pull-apart challah rolls with a chocolate bar. Where's the fun in that? We are going to make the filling that you would get in a viral Dubai chocolate bar. We're going to toast it up ourselves. It's going to remain crunchy and delicious while filled with that pistachio cream and chocolate. And when you pull this apart and break into one of the rolls, you are going to have a flavor and a sensation experience because, as I said, it remains crunchy because we're going to toast up that kadayif, or that's how my Turkish ancestors would call it, the shredded phyllo dough. It's more commonly known as kataifi, and some people call it kanafe because there's a dessert that is made using the kadayif that's called kanafe. Whatever you want to call it, it's crunchy and delicious because we're going to treat it the right way, and we're going to stuff it in these challah rolls, and it's going to be crazy good. So I am super excited to teach you how to make it. So let's not wait another second, and let's get started. For the challah roll part of today's recipe, you will need 3 3/4 cups of bread flour, 1/3 cup of sugar plus another 1 tablespoon separate, a half a teaspoon of salt, 3/4 cup of warm water, 3 3/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast, 2 large eggs plus 1 more large egg separate, and 1/3 cup of avocado oil plus another 1 tablespoon separate. For the filling part of today's recipe, you will need 8 ounces of Kataifi, which we are going to cut. Note, Kataifi is usually sold frozen, so we need thawed Kataifi. 3 tablespoons of ghee, or if you don't have ghee, you can use butter. A 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a half a cup of white chocolate chips, which we will be melting. 3 tablespoons of tahini, also known as tahina, but basically what it is sesame paste or sesame butter. 8 ounces or 1 cup of raw, unsalted, unsweetened pistachio butter. So I'm going to be using store-bought, but if you want to make your own, that's fine. All you need to do is warm up some pistachios in an oven that's been preheated to 350 degrees. Warm them up for about 10 minutes. You want raw unsalted pistachios, then let them cool down for about another 10 minutes and process them either in a food processor or in a blender on low speed for about 10 minutes or until they've become absolutely creamy and delicious. You'll also need 5.44 ounces of dark or milk chocolate if you don't love dark, but I really recommend dark chocolate in bar form, separated into 18 pieces. So I'm using a bar that is called Giant. It has 25 pieces and it has a total of 7.56 ounces of chocolate, but I'm only going to be using 18 of those pieces. And optional, but very pretty for serving, we're going to want a touch of chopped pistachios and some edible dried rose petals. Of course, this is just to make it look pretty, so it's completely optional. So before I list the tools we'll need, I wanted to show you the kataifi and remind you that it comes frozen. So you want to thaw this. You want to put it in the fridge the night before, then bring it out to the counter to become room temperature when you're ready to make your beautiful challah rolls. I'll also mention that we'll only need 8 ounces and there are 16 ounces in this box. You will also need a scissor, a couple of medium-sized bowls, 2 tablespoons, just your regular kitchen tablespoons, a couple of wet measuring cups, some dry measuring cups, a large bowl that either has a lid or if not, you can use plastic wrap, 2 small bowls and a pastry brush, 2 forks, a rolling pin or a handheld roller, a silicone spatula, some measuring spoons, a bench scraper, or if not, you can use a long thin knife, and a dough whisk, or if you don't have one, then you can use a serving fork instead. You will also need a medium-sized skillet and either a wood or silicone spatula. You'll need an 11-inch cake pan. This is 11-inch in diameter, works perfectly. Some oven mitts, some plastic wrap, some parchment paper, and a cooling rack. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you the type of chocolate bar I was referring to, just to make it easier for you to figure out the type of chocolate that you want to buy. This is very convenient because it's nice and thick. It's got 25 pieces, of which I'm going to be using 18. And this is the pre-made, unsalted, unsweet, raw pistachio butter that I'm going to be using. You can find this in my Amazon shop, along with the tahini that I'm going to be using and a whole bunch of the tools that I'm going to be using in this video too. So now that we have all of our ingredients and tools together, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is pull your Kataifi out of the fridge. I pulled it out of the freezer last night, put it in the fridge to thaw. Now I'm going to bring it out and just let it sit on the counter while I prepare our beautiful viral Dubai chocolate bar challah rolls. So the first thing you're going to want to do is add 3 3/4 cup of bread flour to a large bowl and use your measuring cup to make a well in the center of the flour. Then you want to measure out 3/4 cup of water. You want to pop that in the microwave to make it get lukewarm, just warm to the touch, about maybe 30-40 seconds or so. Then you're going to add 3 3/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast along with 1 tablespoon of sugar, and then you're just going to mix this to combine. You want to make sure that you break up any clumps that form in the yeast, and then all you're going to do is let this sit. So we're going to set a timer for 5 minutes so that the yeast becomes bubbly and active. And just for wise time management, we're going to go ahead and grab 2 large eggs. We're going to crack them into a small bowl, and then using a fork, we're going to beat those eggs well. That way we have them ready for when we need them. Now to the outer edge of the bowl, that outer edge of the flour, you're going to add 1/3 cup of sugar, and then you're going to also add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now the 5-minute timer has gone off. Our yeast is beautiful, active, and bubbly, and we're going to come on over and we're going to pour that right into the center well of our flour, making sure to get all of that in. Then you're going to measure out 1/3 cup of avocado oil, and you're going to pour that around the perimeter, again, on the flour. And we're going to do the same with the 2 large eggs that we have recently beaten. Then grab your dough whisk or a serving fork if you don't have one, and then gently incorporate the ingredients, bringing those wet ingredients on the outer edge in, and then using your dough whisk to scrape down the sides of your bowl as you turn it and incorporate all of the ingredients. What we're looking to do is to make sure that that flour is absorbing all of these wet ingredients, and we're just going to bring it together and make a rough dough. Then we're going to clean off our tool and we're going to switch to using our hands because there's no better tool than clean hands. So I'm going to just go right into the bowl, and then I'm just going to use my hands to really help these ingredients come together. It may appear a little dry at first, but you're going to see that using your hands, you're just going to clean off the sides, the bottom of the bowl, get all that moisture in, and quickly this is going to start to feel and look like a dough. So what I like to do at this point is I just washed my hands for a second and I came over and set a 10-minute timer because I'm going to be kneading by hand. So if you're kneading by hand, you want a full 10 minutes of kneading. Of course, if you want to use a stand mixer, you can do that too. Then you just reduce your time to 5 or 6 minutes. Now notice it's not sticking at all to my hands because if you measure correctly, This should be absolutely perfect. It's gonna feel bouncy and beautiful, almost like playing with Play-Doh when you were a child. It's just absolutely amazing. And I love that moment of reflection, of a connection to my ancestors who used to do it this way. I just love using my hands. So now I've placed it in my bowl and I'm adding 1 tablespoon of avocado oil. Then I'm going to use my hands to just make sure that I coat that dough ball well, top and bottom. And that way it's going to rise beautifully and it's just going to be so beautiful to work with. So now, once I've done that, I'm going to rinse my hands again, come on over and put the lid on my bowl or plastic wrap. If you don't have a lid, that's also fine. And we're going to set this for 2 hours to rise. So I like to use my oven turned off and set a 2-hour timer. And of course, I set out a reminder to myself and to everyone else not to use the oven because there's something in there. Of course, you can also find a draft-free spot in your kitchen that will also work perfectly well. So once there's about an hour left on my timer, I like to grab my Kataifi and I'm going to start by cutting this in half. And now I'm using my time, of course, because while my dough rises, I can go ahead and prepare my filling. So what I like to do is just kind of pull this out halfway out of the bag so that I don't make a mess everywhere, and just use my scissor and I just eyeball it. You're welcome to measure. You can weigh this if you'd like, but I just eyeball it. I pull out about half and I use my scissor and I cut it off, and then I'm going to just refrigerate the other half. I will find something to do with this later. Maybe I'll make some kanafe, a little small one with some mozzarella cheese, who knows. So now what I like to do is use my scissor and cut this into small pieces. I want to say I'm looking for pieces that are about 1 inch in length. So just go in there and give this all a haircut. Honestly, this whole dish reminds me of my childhood of Play-Doh barbershop. I just unlocked a memory between the dough and this hair. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, moving on. I've cut it up. I'm adding 3 tablespoons of ghee into a large pan. As I said, if you don't have ghee, it's fine. You can use butter. I'm going to put this on medium heat. I'm going to allow it to melt with ghee. It'll take about 1 minute and it'll melt. And I prefer it because it has a higher smoke point. So it's really great when toasting your kataifi. You don't have to worry about those milk solids burning. So now you're going to grab your cut up kataifi. You're going to add it into your skillet and you're just going to spread it out. And we're going to cook this on that same medium heat. And you're going to see after 1 minute, it's already absorbing all that yummy ghee. The smell is already incredibly delicious, and we just got started. So now you just want to continue to stir this around, and it's going to take no more than 5 or maybe 6 minutes total to get to this golden color. And once you're there, you're just going to turn your heat off and you're going to let it sit in this hot skillet. So now we're going to move on to melting our chocolate. We're going to use a medium bowl. I've added half a cup of white chocolate chips and I melted them in the microwave, 30-second intervals, about 1 minute to 1.5 minutes. That's all it took. Then I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 3 tables of tahini, that yummy sesame paste, and then I'm going to add the entire cup, the 8-ounce tub of pistachio butter. And as I said earlier, you can also add your own homemade pistachio butter. 1 cup is what you'll need. So since this is unsalted and unsweetened, that's why I added the salt, and we're using that melted white chocolate chip as the source of sweetness. Plus, it reminds us of that drizzle of white chocolate that you'll often see on that beautiful viral Dubai chocolate bar. So I thought it would be perfect for giving this a beautiful and sweet touch without overpowering the delicious nutty flavors of that pistachio butter and that sesame tahini. Look at how absolutely gorgeous this filling is. And wait till we put it together with the kataifi and the dark chocolate. This is going to be over the top crazy good. So now, just for quality control purposes, I'm gonna have to taste this. Oh yeah, incredible. It's perfect. So now, of course, to make it even more perfect, we're gonna bring up that toasted buttery Kataifi that we so gently toasted and made this gorgeous golden color. We're gonna get all of it in, and then we're gonna gently incorporate the ingredients. So what do I mean by gently? You don't wanna smash down the Kataifi. You want to gently mix, you want to fold the Kataifi into this beautiful pistachio cream that we have created. You want to use a silicone spatula, that way you can scrape down the sides of your bowl, and you're just going to very gently incorporate the ingredients until they are well combined. Why is it important that we be gentle? Because we don't want to smash down that Kataifi. We want it to remain crispy and perfect. So now, once we've incorporated it, we're going to line our 11-inch cake pan with some parchment paper, and then we're going to go ahead and bring out our dough. It's been 2 hours. It's done rising. We're going to punch it down a whole bunch of times because we want to remove all of those gases that have built up in our dough. And then we're going to take our bowl, we're going to turn it over onto our clean working area, and we're going to let the dough release itself. It should just take a moment, and there it is. It released itself, and we're going to remove our bowl, and we are ready to start shaping and filling this gorgeous dough. So what I like to do is I like to spread it out, and I'm going to make it almost into an oval or a rectangle as best as I can, because I'm going to divide this dough into 3 parts. Now, can you weigh out your dough? Yes, you can. We want 18 pieces, but I don't weigh out my dough. I'm very good at eyeballing. If you want to weigh it and then divide it by 18 so you know exactly what each dough ball should weigh, then go right ahead. But I'm really good at eyeballing it, so I'm just going to split my dough into 3 parts. I'm using my bench scraper, but you can use a long thin knife instead if you don't have one. And then from each third of the dough, I'm going to be making 6 pieces of dough. So I'm just going to fold this, and once again I'm going to create a log, almost like a rectangle, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut that in half. And then from each half, I'm going to make 3 pieces. So there we go. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to repeat the same process with the other piece, because as I said, from this third of the dough, we want a total of 6 pieces. So I just kind of roughly form them into a ball. And then again, 1 and 2 and 3. And that's it. I have 6 dough balls. So of course, what we're going to do is we're going to repeat the same process with the center piece of dough and with the third piece of dough, because our goal is to have 18 dough balls. So just continue to divide your dough. Now we have 12 because we cut our center piece. And finally, we're going to work on our last piece, and we're going to end up with 18 pieces. As I said, you want to weigh these out to be more accurate. Go right ahead. Of course, you can do that. But I find that as long as they're pretty close, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. So now I'm going to cover these with plastic wrap so they don't dry out as I am working and filling my beautiful dough. So here's my bar, 25 pieces, but remember, I'm only going to be using 18 because I want a piece per roll. And this is a thick bar of chocolate, so it's more than enough. It's actually perfect for this viral Dubai chocolate bar challah roll. So I'm just going to cut it up. That way I have my 18 pieces handy, because I already have that creamy Kataifi pistachio filling, and now we have our chocolate ready to go too. And that way, as we shape them, we're just going to fill. It's going to make the process easy. I'm going to separate this part because I'm not going to be using it. And then we're going to go on to filling our dough. So what I like to do is I grab one ball and I gently use my fingers and just press it down a little bit. And then you can use a handheld roller, a rolling pin, or of course you can do this whole thing by hand. And then I just stretch it out into either a square or a circle as best you can. And what you're going to do is, once you've flattened it out, notice it's not sticking on the counter, it's not sticking on my hands. The dough is absolute perfection. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab that dough and we're going to add about a heaping tablespoonful of this beautiful pistachio, Kataifi, tahini, white chocolate mixture right onto the center of our dough. Then we're going to grab one of those pieces of chocolate. We're going to pop that right on top. And then just gently, we're going to bring the dough over to form a ball. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to place this seam side down into our pan. And you're not going to believe just how gorgeous it's going to look. Look how easy that was. We're just going to place this seam side down and it's going to continue to rise and it's going to be complete perfection. When we're done, you're going to split it open for a wonderful surprise. So now I'm going to show you one more time. I just grab my dough, flatten it out with my fingertips. I'm using my handheld roller. I'm going to bring over a nice heaping tablespoonful of my Kataifi filling, a piece of my dark chocolate, gently bring the dough together to close the ball. And then once we've done that, we just place it seam side down onto our 11-inch cake pan and we're good to go. We're just going to repeat this process over and over until we've used all 18 balls of dough. So I'm going to show you in a moment what it looks like once we've added all 18 filled dough balls into the pan. And I'm going to show you the pattern that I use to make this look absolutely gorgeous and perfect. Notice the imperfections. You're not going to notice that because we're placing these seams side down and they're going to continue to rise and they're going to be gorgeous. So now let me show you up close just so you see how beautiful and how much filling we have in each of these dough balls. That's why I decided to make this a pull apart challah, because I wanted every single person to be able to have the same amount of yummy, delicious filling, the same experience roll after roll. So I'm covering with a challah cover, but you can use plastic wrap as I work so they don't dry out. And once I'm done, this is what it looks like. I have 11 on the outer edge, then 7 on the next circle and 1 in the center, which makes 18. And there's a little bit of space, but don't worry, that's going to continue to rise. We're going to cover this and allow it to rise for 30 more minutes. We're going to set a 30-minute timer for our final rise. And this is all I have left. So I think we did pretty good with our filling. And this, with a piece of dark chocolate, you're good to go. It's absolutely divine. This is basically the viral Dubai chocolate bar in a bowl. Just grab a piece of dark chocolate and you are good to go. It's crazy good. So now I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 350 because there's about 15 minutes left on my timer, and that way it'll give my oven a chance to get hot. Then I'm going to beat 1 large egg that I've added just a touch of water to because I'm going to be using this for an egg wash on my beautiful challah rolls. And now the full 30 minutes for our second rise have passed. And you see how they've grown a bit? They're going to continue to grow even more in the oven. These are going to be flawless once they're baked. So now what we want to do is we're going to bring over that beaten egg with a touch of water. We're going to use a pastry brush and we're going to give these all a really nice egg wash because this is going to make them get absolutely golden and shiny, which is that beautiful finish that we want when we're making a challah. And remember, this is not just any challah. This is a viral Dubai chocolate bar challah, the most magnificent pull-apart challah that you're ever going to taste. And it really was not hard at all. With a little patience, anyone can make this. Heck, you don't even need braiding skills. Since we've made it in a pull-apart challah form, all we did was make balls and we're going to pop this in the oven. Look at how gorgeous it is, and it hasn't even cooked yet. Wait until you see the final result. It is going to be not only gorgeous, it's going to be delicious, and I'm obsessed with it already. I cannot get enough of staring at it because I'm telling you, this is going to be a masterpiece. So set it on a center rack and set a 30-minute timer to allow it to bake. And after 30 minutes, it's going to be incredible. It's not even fully ready yet. And then look at how much it's already risen in the oven. It just continues to rise, get golden and delicious. And the smell in my kitchen and in my home right now is really unreal. The buttery Kataifi, oh my goodness, the chocolate and the bread. That smell is perfection. Look at how gorgeous. It's almost like a flower. It's so absolutely beautiful, and I just cannot get enough. It's absolute perfection. It's so beautiful. And of course, we eat with our eyes first, but when we bite into this, it's gonna be crazy good. So of course I lined it with parchment because it's gonna make my job so much easier when I remove this from the pan, but I just need to take another moment to absolutely enjoy the beautiful view. Is it just me, or is this not phenomenally gorgeous, magnificent? And as you saw, I did this. I didn't even measure out the pieces, and look how beautifully they came together. They're just absolute perfection. I'm in love. So now, using the parchment, you want to carefully lift your beautiful challah out of your pan. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set it onto a cooling rack. And what I like to do is I just rip the parchment down the middle and then just carefully pull it out from under your hot challah. And I'm going to make an exception with this challah because I normally wait till it's cool before I plate it. But for this particular challah, it is so crazy good warm out of the oven. I'm only going to let it sit here for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and plate it, and I'm going to go ahead and break into it. If you can serve this hot, even better. So all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give it a finishing touch, which I said was totally optional. I just roughly chopped up some pistachios, and I have some beautiful edible rose petals, and I'm just going to sprinkle them on top just for a touch of color. And it's almost like a little clue of the pistachio cream that we have going on inside. And look at how beautiful it looks. It just makes it look even more floral and gorgeous between the pattern and those rose petals and those roughly chopped pistachios. Wow. Okay, enough admiring. It's time to break into this. Oh my goodness, you see how perfectly simple and easy it is? You just pull apart the rolls and they're absolute perfection. Look at how fluffy that dough is. So crazy good. And the top is golden, gorgeous, and beautiful. Look at the color. It's fluffy, shiny, and golden, but most of all, filled with viral Dubai chocolate bar. Incredible. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to take a bite of this. The smell of the creamy pistachio and that toasted buttery Kataifi with the chocolate and that yeasted beautiful challah roll. Oh my goodness. Wow, wow, wow. It's absolute perfection. It's still crunchy, that Kataifi, even though we combined it with those ingredients to make it creamy. And of course, that melted dark chocolate. Oh my. Wow. I cannot get enough. This is a sensation. It's incredibly delicious. It's chewy and crispy and creamy. All in one. Really, you're going to absolutely love this. And I definitely recommend serving this warm if possible, or just warming up that particular roll that you're going to eat in that moment, because when that chocolate is melty, it is crazy, crazy good. I'm sure it's also going to be great room temperature or even cold out of the fridge. It's that good. But I'm telling you, warm, it's just absolutely phenomenal. So I'm just going to cut into one more, just to show you what the inside looks like. I mean, that's just absolutely gorgeous. It's creamy and nutty and chocolatey and just absolute perfection. So did I tell you, or did I tell you, that this gorgeous pull apart challah was going to be over the top, sensational. I mean, the filling is the Dubai chocolate bar, the viral chocolate bar that everyone goes crazy over. You're going to be able to make this yourself, and you're going to impress anyone you serve this to. Imagine bringing this over. All they see are those beautiful golden rolls. And when they break into one, especially if it's served a touch warm, wow, the oohs and ahs. You are going to be the star of the show. Of course, please be sure to tell them that Sally, that girl in the kitchen, taught you how to make them. And if they don't know about me, send them over to my YouTube channel and make sure they subscribe and you subscribe if you haven't already done so. And of course, if you're not following me on social media, also be sure to follow me as Sally, that girl in the kitchen on Facebook, Instagram, and on Pinterest. And you can find me as Sally, that girl FL on X, Snapchat, and TikTok. And don't forget, I also have an Amazon shop where I feature a lot of the products that I use in these videos. So if there's something you're looking for and you can't find one of the tools or one of the actual ingredients, you can probably find it in my shop. So in order to find that link and the rest of my links, just visit the banner at the top of my YouTube channel, or you can go over to Sally, that girl in the kitchen on Facebook and Instagram, and there is a link tree pinned there, and you can find all of the different sites that I have. So make sure to check that all out. And of course, if you haven't explored here, go over, explore, go check out the playlist tab. You're going to see I break things down by category. Breads, I am a huge fan. Challahs, all kinds. And of course, main dishes, side dishes, desserts, anything you can think of, I have there for you. So definitely be sure to check those out. And once again, I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much for being here. I really am so glad to see that you enjoy the recipe videos that I put out for you. So thank you so, so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Sally, that girl in the kitchen.